Namibia for my internship for school. I'm a biology major here at Alberta's, day student. I transferred from the New England Institute of Art for photography. I know, big jump from photography to biology, but I realized that I didn't want to do that anymore. So I came here. I'm just going to be hopefully studying marine biology. And I did this the whole month of August of 2011. So while you guys were probably out on the beach partying and everything like that, I was actually working. In the winter. I was in the winter. So that is my introduction. Yes. For those of you who don't know where Namibia is, if you look at the light blue arrow, that is actually Africa. The light blue arrow indicates where Namibia is. The bigger picture, the red arrow is actually where Walvis Bay is. That's where I was located. The project is also located out of Lüderitz. That is the blue arrow. Okay, so the mission. It's really long. You guys can read it if you want. I'm just going to summarize it. Pretty much, they just look at the tourism, how tourism affects the species that live and visit the Walvis Bay area during the winter months of June and August. As a secondary, they look at how the pod communicates with each other. The pod is just kind of like a big group of dolphins or whales, how they communicate with each other out in the bay while they're eating, if they're socializing, resting, how their echolocation clicks are going. Now I also want to introduce you guys to who runs the project, the main researchers. This is Simon Elwin. He is the one who started this project. He's the laboratory director. He's an awesome guy. Taught me pretty much everything I needed to know about taking pictures out on the boat. Tess Gridley, she is in charge of acoustics. She actually went to school for acoustic work, so she's pretty educated in how everything works and what she should be looking for when she looks at the clicks and listening to them as well. Heidi Etter, she became honestly my best friend while I was out there. She's from the United States, so she kind of understood the whole homesickness thing while I was there. She was and is the internship manager. She actually did the project 2 years ago. She went there for a month and then came back last year for the full 3 months as the internship manager. So she was away from home for 3 months, so by the end of it she kind of understood the whole I miss home. Why are there interns? We help the project by recording data while we're out on the boat. We help them take pictures that they can use. We kind of make their lives a little bit easier, so it's not just them out there. They have other people that can collect all this data. But they also help us too, because they educate us on the species that are out there, which I will get to. They also, they teach us that this is what you're going to be doing if you want to go into the research field. It's hard. You don't make a lot of money, and most of your money is from grants that you have to apply for. The species that we studied, there was a couple of them. These are the heavy-sized dolphins. They only live off of the coast of Namibia, so Walvis Bay and Lüderitz, this is the only place that they're found. This is actually kind of one of the reasons why I went this way, this route. I saw pictures of these guys, and they're cute. They're small dolphins, like, honestly, from probably the chairs to the front, that's how big they are. They're playful little dolphins. They enjoy bow riding, so we kind of got to see them bow riding even on our small little boat. Bottlenose dolphins, I'm sure you guys have seen these off the coast of Florida, Cape Cod, pretty much anywhere there's common bottlenose dolphins. So we also studied these guys because they were in the bay. They were also the easiest to get the echolocation clicks because the equipment that we had could only record these guys. The heavy-sized dolphins' clicks are too high for the recording to work. Dusky dolphins. I never actually got to see these guys. Simon and Tess have only seen them once or twice while they've been there. They live primarily in the ocean. They don't really come into the bay that often, and if they do, it's just to kind of rest and hang out. They don't really come in that often. They don't like to. It's not their habitat. Occasionally and rarely, we worked with humpback whales, southern right whales, and killer whales. I believe while I was there, there was 2 days where the humpback whales came into the bay, and there was only 2 of them, and they were juveniles. They make their way down the coast of Africa, and they just kind of stop in the bay to rest, to relax, to hang out. But then, of course, then there's the tour boats, and they leave the bay. Southern right whales, there was one day I was out on the tour boats. I'll explain that in a minute. And they were in the bay, so the tour boats automatically go right over there because people want to see the whales. Like, the dolphins are there every day. They want to see the whales. They want to see the big creatures. And killer whales, I believe, I know they did a necropsy, which I will cover. But they think they did a necropsy on a baby killer whale, and I think they might have seen 1 juvenile in the bay the whole time they've been there. So you may be asking why here. Like I said before, heavy-sized dolphins are only off the coast of Namibia, and they interested me a lot. I'm also very much into marine. For those of you who know me, you know this. And it was the first internship opportunity that was presented to me that sparked an interest. For those of you who know Dr. Baruther, he sends out emails occasionally with internship opportunities, but a lot of them are, oh, here's, a laboratory that has an internship. This one was marine biology, and automatically I applied for it and went. I wanted to travel. I wanted to kind of see a little bit of the world and see, something besides Connecticut or Massachusetts. A typical day. As you guys can see, there wasn't actually a typical day. A lot of our days, we didn't know what we were doing until the night before. Tess would come, she would write on the board, we would go look. If you guys want to look at even like our first Friday the 5th, Nanook is the boat. The initials underneath indicate who is going to be on the boat. Pretty much you have to be ready for 6:45 in the morning. We want to be able to launch the boat for 7 o'clock so we can get out there before the tour boats do. If the tour boats are out there while we're out there, a lot of the dolphins will go bow ride on their boats. So we can't really get the good shots that we need in order to research these animals. And then the TB is tour boat, which I will cover. And off you don't get the day off. It stands for office. So you're going to be in the office all day. You don't get the day off, like I thought we did. But as you can see, there's things crossed out. There's things added in. If we had bad weather, things got delayed, things got pushed back, things even got canceled to the point where we were all in the office, which technically was just the house. So we were in the house doing work. There was a Saturday that we ended up having a stranding. We all dropped everything we were doing to go to that stranding, which I will cover.
A what? Stranding?
A stranding, yep.
Stranded.
Like a stranded animal, yep. And then there was one day we knew we were going to have bad weather the next day, so we worked on the stomach. And I do have pictures of that. Boat days. These were my favorite days. We went out on the boat, we interacted, even though it was limited, we interacted with the animals, got to take pictures of the animals, record the sounds. Boat days, they started at 6:45. It was early. Office days. Simon was nice enough to take some pictures while we were working in the office. As you can see, I don't know if you guys can see it that well, but I have 2 computers open with me. One is a laptop. I have Excel open with a spreadsheet. I'm what they call grading photos. I'm looking at the photos. If it's a usable fin, it gets rated a certain number. A bunch of other different things get included into this grading, but the other screen has up on the fin so I can actually see everything, make sure it's usable. This is actually an example of a decent fin that they would be able to use. What they're looking for is just markings, any notches in the fin. Unfortunately, this one isn't very marked up, so it's kind of hard to be like, oh, well, this dolphin we saw yesterday. So that's what they're looking for. Tour boat days. These days were fun. It was similar to an off day because, we were on a tour boat. but it was work. We had to record where the boat was going, the tour boat, we had to record where it was going, what animals were with the tour boat, you know, what the animals got fed. So if this seal came on the boat at 8:45, I had to write that down. If it was fed 6 fish, I had to write that down. Also, if it was touched, the tour guide normally will rake the back of the neck, so like petting it backwards, so people can see that it's a fur seal. It's not rubber. Like if you touch it, it is actually furry. It's just very, very wet because their fur absorbs all that. There was actually there was one seal that waddled over to me and just rested its head on my shoulder, and I could feel all the water like coming into my jacket, and I'm like, great, I have to walk back in the cold, so I'm soaking wet now. But all right, this is the stranding. It was a false killer whale. It was a male. We don't know why it died. Honestly, we researched everything, sent everything out. Nothing came back as unusual. The next images, I don't know if anybody has a weak stomach, but the next images are graphic. So if you have a weak stomach, just kind of avert your eyes, and I'll let you know when it's safe to look up. These are the teeth of the whale, which is actually a dolphin. It's in the dolphin family. The necropsy, which is just an animal autopsy. So what they do on people, we did to this killer whale, or false killer whale. We looked at his teeth. His teeth were worn down, which isn't a good sign. He was only a juvenile. He wasn't full grown. So for his teeth to be worn down could possibly have had something to do with his death. He was 13 feet and 2.26 inches long. He was a very large animal, and we had to drag him up the beach because he was so close to the water that when the tide came in, we would have lost everything. So we had to drag him up the beach in order to do this. We collected the skull and the stomach. The skull was donated to a science museum. The stomach we actually froze and then defrosted to look through the contents. You know, see what it was eating. Did it eat? You know, those sort of things. This picture shows Heidi and Simon actually removing the head from the rest of the body. We did this so the other interns could work on getting all the blubber and all the excess meat off of the skull, so it's easier to transport. And then the rest of the animal was actually broken down, cut apart. The meat was buried in the landfill. We couldn't sell it to the natives. We couldn't do anything. We had to bury it because of the high levels of mercury that whales hold in their bodies. Because when they eat the fish have mercury in them. It gets absorbed into their body. They have lethal amounts in their meat. So if we were to do anything, we would have killed a ton of people. The stomach. It was frozen, like I said, and then we had to defrost it so we could actually look through it. So, as you can see, like in this picture, we have 3 buckets going. The stomach's in one. We had to empty out kind of all the juices and stuff, and then one of the other interns and myself actually sat there and cleaned out all the squid beaks. And squid beaks are it's a harder part of a squid that they can't digest. So we sat there for a good hour cleaning these out and preserving them so we could send them out. It was not fun, but it's science. It's dirty. It's messy. We did have days off. You know, they had to give us days off. We couldn't just work 24/7. On our days off, you know, they told us it's a day off, but they encouraged us to go do something. I mean, how often do you travel halfway across the world? So they encouraged us to get out and go explore. A lot of the times, you know, we would be like, oh, hey, Heidi, I want to go kayak with seals. And she would set it up for us. She would talk to the tourists and get us into the area that we needed to be. Dune boarding. I don't know how many of you snowboard, but it's actually a lot similar to snowboarding, but it's slower, apparently. I've never snowboarded, but after dune boarding, I think that's pretty much, that's good for me. This is the only place that you can actually do it, and you can't do it by yourself. You can't just bring a snowboard to Namibia and say, hey, I'm going to go dune boarding. It's illegal. actually, if you know, if you don't have a license, like the people that we went with did. So they showed us how to dune board, they brought us up the dunes, all this fun stuff. I tumbled down my first time, but we went camping. We had 2 days off in a row to allow us to go camping, and we were able to go somewhere that actually looked like Africa. A lot of the pictures that I've been showing you guys is water, it's cloudy, it's cold. This is what we got to see, and it was absolutely amazing. I will never forget that night, especially the first night we got there. Once we finally found a camping spot, we just laid down on the dirt and we were looking up, and the stars were absolutely gorgeous because it's wide open and there's no pollution, there's no lights, nothing. Downtown Walvis Bay. This is kind of an example of what it looked like. So if we were on a boat and, I want some chocolate. So we would actually have to go walk down to downtown and pick it up ourselves. It wasn't a long walk, it was about 15 minutes. Fairly safe, we walked during the day, we weren't outside by ourselves at night. And we always walked in groups. It was never like, oh hey, I'm just gonna go to the store and be like, oh well, you know what? I need something too, and they'd come with you. So it was fun, and you got to know people. These are the people that I spent my month with. Zila, she is actually a U.S. citizen, but she does not live in the U.S. She's lived all over the world. I believe what I've gotten from her is her dad is in the embassy, so I guess he travels, so they travel with him. Jamie's from Canada. Her and I actually talked all summer getting ready for this, just so we would have somebody to talk to. Stacy is from London. She was a sweetheart. She was kind of very out there and outgoing, so it was interesting to have somebody like that, so I could be like, she would be like, come on, let's go, we're going here. I'd be like, oh, she'd be like, no, we're going. So it was nice to have somebody to push me to go out. Gabe is from the US, so it was nice to have somebody else from the US that was there, going through the same thing I was. Denise was my roommate. She was from Dubai. Absolute sweetheart. Very giggly and bouncy, which when you're tired isn't the best thing, but looking back at it, I miss these people. I lived with them for a month. I got to know them. We pretty much became family. We'd fight, but then 10 minutes later we were like, oh, sorry. It was just living there with everybody. But this is pretty much the end, but I just wanted to say thank you to Oceans Research, the Namibian Dolphin Project, Dr. Baruther, my mom and Rob, my family, friends, and boyfriend. This trip cost a lot of money. I'm pretty sure it cost me like $6,000 by the time I was done with this. So everybody that I named helped me out. Dr. Baruther emailed me this wonderful opportunity. Oceans Research was nice enough to allow me to come and do this. The Namibian Dolphin Project, my mom and my stepdad Rob, they helped me out a lot during my trip. And then obviously my friends and my boyfriend, he supported me a lot. He didn't want me to go, but he was like, you know what, go, because this is once in a lifetime opportunity. You need to do this. So, but do you guys have any questions? Yes.
So this was all under the auspices of this one organization called the...
Oceans Research gives the Namibian Dolphin Project a grant. But they're also the ones that you have to go through the internship application process, and then they send you out there. They kind of give you all the travel information, you book your flight, you get on the plane, and you go.
So it sounds like there's a lot of independent work that you had to do to make this internship happen.
Yes.
Then.
Yeah.
When you got there, to say, well, this extracurricular, what little time you may have had,
yeah,
there weren't set activities and programs in place.
No.
For you.
No, it was very self-driven. Like, if I hadn't wanted to go kayaking with seals and somebody else hadn't, we could have, gone horseback riding on the beach. We could have done a bunch of other things, but we pretty much collectively as a group decided that we wanted to go kayaking, dune boarding, and camping. Our last day off was a little intense. Our house had gotten broken into the night before. We were actually sleeping while the house got broken into. And the next day was our day off, and we just kind of all hung out together in like the living room, I guess you could call it. And we just like, some of us read, some of us slept, but we were all together. It was just our, it was our day off, and we kind of felt, a little violated. So we just wanted to be together. So yeah, that day off was up in the air, but it was fine because we still got to just kind of relax, which was nice. Yeah. Is there anything else?
So when do you go back?
As soon as I can get another $6,000. No, it's actually kind of funny because some of the people that I met there who actually live there, they live in Baldwin's Bay. They don't like it, but they live there. It's their home. They message me on Facebook and they're like, well, when are you coming back? Like, we miss you guys. And like, they ask all of us. They're like, when are you coming back? It's, because it's nice for them to meet new people. We meet them, they meet us. We're from all over the place, so.
But you're not necessarily all students, college, the background?
Stacy had just graduated from college, but the rest of us were in college, yeah. But you don't have to be, it's just it's harder to get accepted if you're not, because they would rather accept college students. That way, they get to know, is this what I want to do? Like that type of thing. And honestly, after this, I definitely still want to stick with marine biology, but the whole research field and the grants and everything, I'd have to definitely look into that more. But it was a blast while I was there. When I first got there, I was like, okay, only a month left until I go home. But then I remember writing in my journal, I was like, wow, I only have 5 more days. Like, I'm gonna miss these people and this place, and it's untouched. People live there, but there isn't a mall that you can go to. There isn't, there was a movie theater, but I think it was showing a movie that came out in the U.S. like 3 months prior. So it was, it's very untouched. It was nice to just kind of, I didn't have my cell phone for the entire time that I was there, which was definitely different for me, because obviously, I'm glued to my phone, and to have to be able to shut it off and just kind of walk away from it, because I didn't have service there. I wasn't going to pay for the extra service. That was a lot of money too. So I just, shut it off, left it, charged it the night before my flight, and turned it on when I got back into the States. So I didn't have it for 31 days. Yeah, I know, you're freaking out. Is there anything else, guys? Anything?
Anxiety attack, I was thinking about it.
It's okay. Anything you want to know about the trip? And it doesn't necessarily have to be about the species that we studied.
What was the average temperature?
Cold. No. Do you remember last week it was warm, but you'd wake up at you'd wake up before 10 o'clock and it'd still be cloudy and it'd be cooler? That's pretty much it. The sun didn't really come out until 2 or 3, and then it set at 5 or 6. It wasn't as cold as our winter can get, but it was cold enough to where, I would have, when we were out on the boat, I remember one day I had on leggings, jeans, 2 pairs of socks, my sneakers, tank top, t-shirt, long sleeve shirt, fleece jacket, and my winter jacket, plus a hat and gloves.
You had everything that you packed.
Yeah, pretty much. One suitcase was designated for boat clothes because it was so much you had to bring. They tell you to bring a waterproof jacket, and I had my winter jacket, which luckily enough was waterproof enough. Because there was one day we were out on the boat, and we were trying to get videos of the dolphins under the water. So one of the interns is leaning over the side of the boat with the camera in the water, and the dolphin comes up and smacks her in the face. She just kind of sat back down on the boat and was like, did that just happen? We're all dying because we saw it happen, and she's just like, the dolphin didn't just hit me in the face. No, they don't do that. And then she looked, because Tess was on the boat too, and Tess is very much, don't touch the animals, don't interfere, don't do this, And Zila just looks at her and she goes, it touched me, I didn't do anything, because she was, she was like, I'm not supposed to touch them, but what happens if they touch me? So, and trust me, it was very hard on the tour boats to not reach out and pet the seals, but we were told not to, because we're trying, you know, we had our Namibian dolphin t-shirts on, so that has like this huge dolphin here, emblem here, words on the back, so they know we're on the tour boat, and, you know, we're trying to set an example. Like, the tour guides should not be touching these seals, they should not be feeding these seals, but they do. The tourists want to see it. I mean, I'm sure, like, if any of you had been on the tour boat, you would have been like, oh, they shouldn't be feeding that. I'd be like, oh, it's a seal! Like, you know, really excited, because they come right up on the boat. They follow the boat, they jump on the boat, and then they waddle over to the tour guide and look at him. It's like, give me the fish. Give me the fish. And actually, one guy was petting the seal, and it backed away from him, and then just sat there and looked up at him like, okay, you petted me, now give me the fish. Because it's, you know, they're food driven. The seals that we kayaked with were actually juveniles, so they were young enough where they were curious and not old enough to be wary of human interaction. And they weren't babies, so their moms weren't yelling at them. So they were juveniles and kind of came up to us, biting the paddle, tried to bite us at one point, kind of came up out of the water, mouths open. I was like, oh, okay. We paddled away from them. That's the end of my presentation, guys.